Order in the family, from the age of kings to the birth of a republic. The story of a lineage bound by law, leadership, and legacy. Today begins Section 1, Law and Order, from the Crown to the Charter. Long before the birth of nations, before constitutions and declarations, justice was shaped in the hearts of men who sought to bring order to a restless world. From the throne of England to the fields of Runnymede, this is the story of how law became greater than the will of any single ruler. It begins with Henry II of England, ancestor of this lineage through Eleanor of Aquitaine. Henry was no ordinary monarch. He was a reformer, brilliant, fiery, and relentless in his pursuit of order. He saw that England's patchwork of feudal customs had led to chaos, and he resolved to replace vengeance with justice, feud with fairness, and might with merit. Through his royal courts and itinerant justices, he created a system of record, trial, and precedent, what we now know as English common law. For the first time, justice followed principle instead of power. The king's writ reached every corner of the realm, ensuring that even the humblest subject could appeal to the king's peace. This great legal awakening reshaped civilization. It replaced the rule of arms with the rule of reason. Yet the crown itself was not above temptation, for when power expands, it tests the very ideals that created it. By Henry's death, his reforms had bound the kingdom together, but they also planted the seeds of resistance to royal excess. His sons and their heirs would wrestle with the limits of kingship he himself had defined. Standing beside Henry was Eleanor of Aquitaine, queen, diplomat, patron of learning, and one of the most extraordinary women of her age. She brought with her the refined culture of the continent, bridging the poetry of Provence with the governance of England. Through Eleanor flowed the blood of Charlemagne, the great emperor whose vision of a just Christian order had inspired Europe for centuries. From Charlemagne's dream of a moral empire to Henry's creation of royal law, this lineage carried forward a sacred thread. The true sovereignty must serve a higher good. But as generations passed, kings grew bold, and that sacred balance began to falter. By the 13th century, England stood at a crossroads. King John's heavy hand had strained his barons and his people alike. Taxation, war, and arbitrary punishment had eroded the trust of the realm. Once again, the conscience of the kingdom stirred. In 1215, 25 barons rose in defiance at Runnymede, not as rebels, but as custodians of the realm's conscience. They compelled the king to seal a charter that declared, "No man, not even the monarch, may stand above the law." Among those barons stood Robert de Vere, 3rd Earl of Oxford, a direct ancestor of this lineage. He was both soldier and statesman, descended from hereditary great chamberlains of England, guardians of the royal household, and defenders of its honor. Robert de Vere's name endures among those who risked all to preserve liberty, and his house became forever linked with the defense of justice. By his side stood the father of his son's wife, Saer de Quincy, 1st Earl of Winchester, veteran of the Third Crusade and one of the most respected commanders of his generation. Saer was both warrior and reformer. He believed that even the mightiest ruler must answer to right and to reason. As one of the architects of the Magna Carta, he gave form to the principles that Henry II had only begun to shape, that justice must be written and power bound by law. When civil war followed, Saer de Quincy was exiled and stripped of his lands, but the liberties he defended outlasted his exile, his title, and even his life. From Henry's royal courts to the Great Charter at Runnymede, this lineage stands at the foundation of constitutional government. They transformed monarchy into responsibility and feudal rule into law. Their conviction was profound, that order is divine only when it serves the cause of fairness and human dignity. Across generations, that conviction endured, crossing oceans with their descendants, taking root in the early colonies of Virginia, and flowering anew in the birth of a republic.